Hello everybody, it's Jester back with another different type of video. Today we're going to be over me and Zenkai's top 15 strongest characters in the Lookism verse right now. Say what's up, Zenkai.
What's going on, everybody? I make Lookism content too. Today, I'm gonna be helping my boy Jester give you guys a precise, objective, and overall truthful ranking of the top 15 strongest Lookism characters.
Okay, without further ado, I already have all my placements up here just to help us speed through the process, but we're going to explain through each and every single placement. The first placement should be really clear and obvious. UI Daniel struck fear and gun, has beaten on gun and goo, and overall has been implied to be this monster of the verse that Johan just copied when just able to defeat Cap Guy with. He's easily the strongest, easily number one. He's a perfect body and has knowledge of all the martial arts. So this one should be really clear. For the next placement, you could explain that one, Zenkai?
So essentially, we know that there is a gap in scaling between Lookism's 3 generations, with the 0 gen or pre-generation being deemed as the supreme or being deemed as the peak. And we know that Gabrion Kim essentially spearheaded this generation as the strongest. And we also know that he has a direct hard counter to invisible attacks. And we know that he most likely beat the likes of Elite, Charles Choi, and Jin Young, because it's implied that everything in that generation was decided with a battle. So this would include the rankings of Gabrion Kim's fists. So with all that being said, logically, I just believe that he should be number 2 in the verse.
Alright, so these 3 placements, I'll go over them together because these people should all be relative. We'll make that really clear. Gun and James have a direct light and dark comparison, as we saw in the recent Workers battle, and through the entire series, Gun has been compared to Gu as like this yin and yang, as these two like inseparable people who just antagonize each other all the time. It's like a comedic guy, but they should clearly always be relative and next to each other in every tier list unless like something crazy happens and Gu like loses a leg. So these 3 people are just implied to be relative. I put Gun in the front because he does have better showings than these 2 right now, but they're all in the same ballpark of strength. And I'll also explain over Elite's placement. Elite is essentially just a worse James Lee. I explained it in a previous video that he had the invisible attacks, he had the speed, some strength, but just not enough strength to be able to overcome. And Gabrion Kim, he was just never able to overcome him. He needed James Lee to kind of do his dirty work, so we'll just put him there for right now. You could go over Tom Lee and Jin Young.
So with the 0 gen, we pretty much know that everyone within Gabrion Kim's fist has some sort of relativity to each other. So with that being said, we know that Tom should be at least somewhat relative to the likes of Elite, and we know that Tom and Jin Young are directly relative, seeing as they fought, which Tom did come out on top, but Jin Young did perform well enough to basically put them neck and neck, at least in my eyes, and so that pretty much justifies their placement.
Alright, so we'll go over Manager Kim. Manager Kim, that's Jin Young is relative to Tom Lee. Manager Kim is pretty much directly relative to Tom Lee. We've seen him fight in his own Lookism series, Manager Kim, or Senior Manager Kim, I'm not sure what it's called right now. And they even earlier in the series talked about how they just don't want to do the interview again. They're talking about them fighting because he works for the Workers, or a part of the Workers, which is the white job center. They basically send out hits on people and he hires people who could fight. So these people have fought before, they don't want to fight each other again because they just respect each other's strengths. You can go over Charles Choi for this peak section.
Okay, so with Charles, we know that obviously he's nerfed and he's nowhere near his old self, but nonetheless, he was still able to outclass and just utterly destroy the likes of Ji Chang. And Ji Chang was pretty much hailed as the king of Seoul, and he's the strongest first generation king besides Jake's brother. We know that he was unmatched in the first generation when it came to strategy, plus his superior speed and strength. So with all that being said, it just makes logical sense that Charles Choi is right here.
Right, so UI Daniel, or Little Classic Body UI Daniel, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear cut that it seemed as if he was gonna beat Ji Chang in the fight. He just, gains the state and just starts blitzing and overpowering him. As I covered over in an earlier video as well, a lot of people bring up the argument that he was just getting started and he was not going all out yet. He clearly was. I don't think he's holding back any power or strength. He just didn't use all the techniques that he usually uses. So from him getting blitzed and overpowered on multiple occasions, I just think that little Daniel is just clearly stronger than him. And you could go over the Ji Chang's placement.
So with Ji Chang, we know that Ji Chang is the current head of the countryside, or he was, seeing as, Charles Choi did him dirty. But besides that, as I brought up earlier, Ji Chang has both superior speed and strength to the other first generation kings, along with him being a strategist. And along with that strategy, he was able to actually outsmart Charles Choi multiple times within their fight, actually 4 times. So it just makes sense that, he ranks this high in the list, but unfortunately he does lose to little UI Daniel. You can go over Johann Jester.
So essentially, UI Johann is an imperfect copy of the big body Daniel, who had this perfect body, who overpowered Johann and completely demolished him. He essentially took the fight knowing he was going to lose to take some experience, and the experience he got was the capability to copy him to some degree to be able to win his battles. And so he has to go here by default. We can talk about Kurohei left next.
Okay, so Kuroda Ryuhei is the head of Kaguroi, and the reason why he's at this spot is due to the fact that Sinu was fighting Ryuhei without a weapon, plus Ryuhei was nerfed because he couldn't actually go all out against Sinu. He couldn't actually try to kill him, and he didn't have his weapon. And Ryuhei pushed Sinu to the point where Sinu thought that he was still going to lose. And so if you give Ryuhei his commando, I just don't think the fight would be close at all. Not to mention his tenacity, allowing him to get up over and over again, pretty much making it impossible for him to be defeated. Obviously, that's not exactly true, but theoretically, that would be the case.
Right. So the final person on this list, and in no way is he weak, is Sinu. Just comparatively to the other characters, he just would lose, unfortunately. But Sinu has to go in the top 15 strongest because he's mastered the invisible attacks, yet not being as fast or strong as James Lee's version of it. It would still give the other kings and the other characters below him problems enough to where he earns the spot on the 15th seat. So thank you everybody for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe and go check out Zenkai's channel. I'll see you in the next video.